Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The school board meeting of December the 7th, 2021 is now called to order. The time is 6:01. We would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest personal potential and the district visions to be a world-class school system. Prior to the start of this evening meeting, we have been enjoying music from Cape Coral group from Cape Coral High School. This group is under the direction of Christy Fish. The piece performed were Light of a Clear Blue Morning, Carol of the Bells, Silent Night, and Ding-a-Ding. The chorus performing today is the audition chorus at Cape Coral High School. We would like to take the time to honor a few of the members. Sarah Smith and Julia Steiner received superior ratings at the solo and ensemble and will be performing at South States in April. Please give these students another round. And they are going to honor us with one last song before we start the meeting. Please, Ms. Fish.
Doesn't get any better.
Cut him off.
Encore? Thank you so much. We are going to take just a moment so that they can exit, and we thank you very much for bringing joy to our lives at this moment. We need you.
And we'll have another song by Miss Jordan. Okay, we will go ahead and begin. This evening's agenda includes a moment of silence, presentation of colors and pledge of allegiance, acknowledgements, recognitions, public comment, consent action items, which include 1 item under board office, 3 under academic services, 9 items under business services, 5 items under human resource, 9 items under operations, 4 items under public hearings, and 4 items under other business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll move to adopt the agenda as published.
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher, and seconded by Ms. Gittens. And is Ms. Giovanelli with us online? Ms. Giovanelli? Okay. Please record your vote. Yes, okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not up yet, so. Okay. Excuse me.
Ms. Roman, I cannot see it. Can you tell me, please?
Ms. Gittens, what is your vote?
I just voted. I'm a yay. You see it?
Okay. 5-0, motion carries. Ms. Morgan will lead us in a moment of silence, after which Ms. Vaughn will lead us in the presentation of colors and the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Morgan?
Please rise.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vaughn, please lead us in the presentation of the colors and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Introducing the cadet who is presenting the national colors for our Pledge of Allegiance tonight is Lieutenant Colonel Derek Carlson, Senior Army Instructor from Estero High School. Lieutenant Colonel Carlson served 21 years in the Army in numerous assignments as a field artillery and military intelligence officer, and retired as the Professor of Military Science at Morehead State University and the University of Pikeville in Kentucky. This is Lieutenant Colonel Carlson's second year as a JROTC instructor in the district. And thank you for your service, Lieutenant Colonel Carlson.
Thank you very much. If I could, presenting the national colors tonight is Cadet Major Sebastian Castillo. Sebastian is our personnel officer. He's our color guard commander at the Estero High School Wildcat JROTC Battalion. Sebastian is very active. He is involved in the JROTC color guard team, the drill, the raiders, the marksmanship team, the honor guard, flag detail, academic bowl, and our drones. Sebastian's also on the All-A honor roll. If you would, please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Please be seated.
This evening's student representative from the District Student Advisory Committee is Aubrey Duncan, a 7th grader at Challenger Middle School. Aubrey likes to spread kindness every day by sharing a kind note with teachers around her school. Aubrey also runs a lemonade stand and a kindness cart, which has been featured on NBC2 News. To date, Aubrey has raised and donated over $1,000 to local animal rescues. As a profound animal lover, she herself has 15 rabbits, 4 cats, 3 birds, 2 guinea pigs, a fish, and a horse. That's a lot. Oh my goodness. Aubrey is a member of the National Junior Honor Society and a student council member at her school. She has volunteered at the community cooperative to feed the homeless, helped collect canned goods for Harry Chapin Food Bank, and led her student council in the making of holiday cards for the troops overseas. In the future, Aubrey would like to attend Mariner High School to obtain a veterinarian tech certificate and later on hopes to become a veterinarian. Welcome, Aubrey. At this time, our student representative, Aubrey Duncan, will present the character word and design for December. And if you look at it, what it is, it's what?
Kindness.
Yes, exactly. Put your mic down.
1. The character education word for December is kindness. Quote, sometimes it takes only one act of kindness and caring to change a person's life. Jackie Chan. The design you see displayed on the screen was created by Asker Rice, an 11th grader student at Estera High School. 2. The School Board of Lee County acknowledgements the following events for the month of December 2021. The National Inclusive School Weeks, Rebuilding Our Inclusive Community Together, December 6th through 12th, 2021.
Beautiful. Thank you, Aubrey. Our next item on the agenda is recognition. Board members and Dr. Savage, please join me in the pit.
Good evening. Each year, the district solicits entries for its annual holiday greeting card display. And this year, the event was open to our middle school students. Once the entries are received, the artwork is adjudicated and the top 8 pieces are displayed in our lobby throughout the holiday season. It is my privilege this evening to introduce our middle school student artists. As I call your name, please come forward to your school with your school representatives. From Lee Virtual School, Scarlett Olivia Rivero, a 6th grader, and Ken McNew, art teacher. Please proceed to the board to shake hands, and then we'll have a photo. Next, From North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts, Wendy Ruiz, 8th grade, Adeline Powers, 6th grade, Andrea Guns, principal, and Teresa Westalo, art teacher. Now, from Harns Marsh Middle School, Ashley Chan, 7th grade, Presley Gutierrez, 7th grade, Alex Dworzanski, principal, and Kristen Barrow, art teacher. And from Diplomat Middle School, Sophie Urbina Amaya, 8th grade, Maura Bennington, principal, and Tanya Petro, art teacher. And finally, and last but not least, from Challenger Middle School, Lydia Augustinelli, 8th grade, Yasmin Morzone, 6th grade, Monzone was a typo, sorry. Stacia Winfrey, principal, and Sandra Rayonik, art teacher. The artistic talent of these students and the dedication of their principals and art teachers are sincerely appreciated. Their efforts have brightened our holidays. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher, and thank you all, students, parents, for bringing them here. This is what it's all about, right here, what you're seeing. And I'm going to take another brief moment so that I know you would really love to stay here with us all night, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to exit the room if you'd like. Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comment. Before I ask Ms. Dupree-Bruno to read her script, I have something to read. We know that there is a lot of concerns, and it has been a trying year for our teachers, support staff, bus drivers, administrators, our students, district staff, parents, and our constituents. Please know that we hear you, and we are working diligently to continuously improve our processes for our students and our staff. We also hear you, our faithful constituents that come to our meetings, send us emails, and call us. We do not want to silence you and look forward to the day that you are our biggest advocates for the sake of the students and the community. And we're wishing you a happy holiday. And now, Ms. Dupree-Bruno, if you will please address public comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. If you completed a public comment card, please put it in the basket provided at the back of the room. If you need a public comment card, they are provided by our staff located in the hallway outside of the boardroom. The rules concerning public comment are posted and will be made from the microphone in the back. Please be advised that the board will not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. Speakers and those attending the meeting are expected to act in a respectful manner. The purpose of public comment is to provide feedback on school district issues. Abusive language is prohibited. In addition to clapping, hissing, and booing, unreasonably loud and/or offensive language, swearing, cursing, or a display of temper during the public comment time is prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow proper decorum in the chambers will be ruled out of order. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per Board Policy 1.11 and may be removed from the chambers. There will be one warning. We will take recesses as necessary if there is not decorum in the chambers. Please remember that it is unlawful and a second-degree misdemeanor to knowingly disrupt or interfere with a school board meeting. Per Board Policy 1.11, the time per speaker is 3 minutes if there are 20 speakers, 2 minutes if there are 30 speakers, and 1 minute if there are 31 speakers or more. The maximum time allowed for public comment is 1 hour and 60 speakers. At this time, we have 21 speakers, so it will be 2 minutes. The maximum time allotted for public comment is 1 hour, 60 speakers. You will find a countdown on the big screen in the front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. Please state your name when you approach the microphone. I will call your names, 5 speakers at a time. Please follow staff's direction when lining up. Madam Chair, there are 21 speakers that wish to address the board this evening.
Okay, thank you. Please make sure you have completed a public comment card if you intend to provide public comments. The card is a public record identifying those who speak and providing contact information to staff for follow-up. The cards are located with the staff in the hallway. In addition, if there is not decorum during this meeting, I will call for a 5-minute recess. We will continue to recess this meeting as needed, increasing 5 minutes each time. Members of the dais, when a recess is called, I ask that you leave the chambers. Of course, it goes without saying that during the recess, board members will not discuss any matters that is pending on the agenda or will come before this body to avoid any sunshine violation. I will reiterate what Ms. Dupree-Bruno just said, in that it is unlawful and a second-degree misdemeanor to knowingly disrupt or interfere with a school board meeting. We would appreciate if you would state your name prior to making your comments. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board but did not fill out a comment card? Please raise your hand.
Madam Chair, I think there's someone that has a statement to make that has an effect on this next portion.
Ms.
Can she please make
Dupree-Bruno?
her,
Okay. Okay. Ms. Dupree-Bruno, please.
What is the total number for public comment? The total number at this time, I believe, is 20 speakers.
20
so it's
speakers.
3 minutes per person.
yes, thank you.
Will the following individuals please line up? Robert Roper, Tara Jenner, Keith Olson, Johnny Streets, Jan M.
Good evening, Mr. Roper.
Hello, Robert Roper, also known as Ward Cleaver. There have been 21 school shootings in America just since August 1st. In the most recent, a student killed 4 people and injured 7 in Oxford, Michigan, the deadliest school shooting since May 2018. There's been 87 school shootings since 2018. Yet a student at the Lee County school system can go to the library and check out a book titled Killing Mr. Griffin by Lewis Duncan. The book centers around the plot to kill Mr. Griffin, the school teacher. Thus the title of the book. Did you hear that? A premeditated, detailed plan to kill a school teacher. The central theme of the book is so horrific, you miss the numerous other references to topics like animal cruelty, where they set a cat on fire at school, drug use, lying, kidnapping, torture. The list can go on. In an age where law enforcement officers must plan, practice, and staff for an active shooter, filling children's heads with play-by-play book to plan the kidnapping and execution of a school teacher, along with evidence suppression and believable alibis, is incredibly poor judgment. 21 copies of Killing Mr. Griffin can be found in the Lee County school libraries, 2 of them in elementary schools. Killing Mr. Griffin can be found in the library at Lehigh Acres Middle School, where 1 student was arrested for bringing a stun gun to school. It can also be found in Harns Marsh Middle School, where 2 children were recently arrested for allegedly plotting a Columbine-style school massacre. Killing Mr. Griffin can be found at the Success Academy in Lehigh, where the above students would be likely sent. Success Academy would not be a place where you would want a book like Killing Mr. Griffin. This book is deplorable. It sends mixed signals. It should never be offered in any school. This book should be removed immediately from the 21 schools that it can be located in. I want to thank whoever was responsible for removing the last book I did a report on. It's perfectly normal. Thank you for your courage doing such a thing. This is not about censorship. It's about protecting our children. We protect our children about a lot of things in the schools. This is just one of them. Thank you.
Welcome, Ms. Jenner.
Tara Jenner. On November 24th, I received an email from the board attorney inviting me and a few others to meet with her and the Sergeant at Arms, Dave Newland, to discuss concerns that many in the community have raised regarding public comments, recent security measure changes, and so on. Speaking only for myself and not for anyone else, I offer the following. While I originally thought it may be beneficial to enter into such discussions after due consideration, I decline this offer. I don't have any confidence in the trustworthiness of most on the dais and want everything done in an open forum and on the record rather than behind closed doors. Also, there are many in the community who have a vested interest in this discussion, and I can't speak for them. Accordingly, I propose the board move to have the board attorney hold an unrestricted and extended open workshop setting where everyone in the community may come and participate. The workshop should be on the record with cameras rolling. Let's sit down together and discuss the aforementioned policies, going line by line with the public having a seat at the table and the district supplying information justifying some of their policies which curtail public discourse participation so that we can have a true collaboration. The aforementioned email condescendingly inferred that I did not understand statutes and policies. I disagree and contend that as written and proposed, the policy's primary goals are to silence and dismiss the public, discourage participation, and create a chilling effect to limit and undercut our rights as protected by the U.S. and Florida state constitutions. In fact, I opine that it's many on the district and in the sheriff's offices who don't understand what our rights are and their limitations and responsibilities. My ongoing concerns about the policy and heavy-handed approach of the district were on full display when during the December 7th board meeting, the acting chairperson failed to afford the public the right to speak prior to the vote of a chairperson and vice chair. When I raised a point of order clearly explaining that the vote was more than merely a ministerial act, but that the chairperson has position-unique action item powers that impact the students, the taxpayers, and the district directly, I was dragged from the boardroom by deputies at the instruction of the attorney and the sergeant at arms, despite my offer to remain seated and silent after being told I was out of order. No charges were filed, by the way, no statute specifically cited, and I noted that there was an identical case filed in Collier County in 2015, where the plaintiff prevailed and was awarded attorney fees and costs. Accordingly, I asked the board to instruct their attorney to schedule the previously proposed workshop event. The school district has a trashed reputation because of the real, or at the very least perceived, antagonistic relationship with the public. Over time, communication, transparency, and real change might improve that reputation. We need to find a way to move from the adversarial relationship the district has created by quashing our rights, participation, and voices, and move on to a functional collaboration.
Good evening, Mr. Olson.
My name is Keith Olson. I'm sorry that board member number 3 is not here because I want to bring to our attention her, again, repeated pattern of saying things that are just plain not true from the dais. She stated that Superintendent James Adams, whom she believes the building should be named after, was shot and killed during a board meeting. He was not shot during a board meeting. He was shot in 1994 in his office, allegedly due to adulterous indiscretions. She also stated that the half-cent sales tax referendum referenced the building of the new K-8 in Estero. There was no such reference made in the writing of that referendum. Based on her own words, it is the intention of board member number 3 to attend the National School Boards Association Conference in California, an organization that compared vocal parents to domestic terrorists, Even the Florida School Boards Association, of which she is president, withdrew their membership from the National School Boards Association. Does she really have to be told that she should not have planned to go to their conference in San Diego using our taxpayer money? I'm from San Diego. It's a great vacation spot. Perhaps we are paying for that. The individual that was principal of San Carlos Elementary School did not say that children do not want to attend her school, as was stated by board member number 3. Finally, what action is the board chair, Jordan, the board attorney, Bruno, and Superintendent Savage going to take when one board member repeatedly lies or says untruths from the dais? I'm sure that you are aware that policy 1.111 in many ways is unconstitutional, and yet you're proceeding with that policy. The safety measures that Mr. Newland has put into place, such as wanding and searching people's pocketbooks to make sure that board members are safe and secure, is very, very questionable. The searches are unnecessary, particularly when board members and superintendent and the attorney can be approached in other venues. In other words, they seem to be appropriate only during these kinds of board meetings.
Will the following individuals please line up? Crystal Johnson, Arlise Williams, Marsha Ellis, Dana and Tessa Walsh, and Lou Navarro.
Welcome, Ms. Jan.
Hi, my name is Jan, and I always like to start with a few thank yous because I want to remind myself and all of us that we're still dealing with a pandemic, and a pandemic is something none of us have been through before. There's two parts to the definition of a pandemic. One is new, that means new to the human body and new to science. And that's one of the reasons it's been hard for all of us, because science is constantly researching something new and constantly discovering something new. So it feels like we're on a moving train on a regular basis and we think it's going to stop, but then there's something new. The other part is worldwide. Those are the two parts to the definition of pandemic. So I think it's admirable that the board has dealt with so many things, and teachers and students. So I think it's a good idea to sometimes just remind ourselves that we've all been through a pandemic and we're still in it. We're not quite out yet. So thank you for everything that you do. And a big thank you to our teachers, our bus drivers, and our staff. That being said, I wonder, since a pandemic is something new that we've not been through, it's going to reveal new things, right? We're going to learn. This is a learning and teaching institution. One of the things I think it's revealed is that we don't really, as a public, have an understanding of what public health is. Public health is not just a phrase. It's not just a two-word phrase. Public health is an area of science. Public health is the science of preventing injury and preventing illness. It is an arm of education. It is a certification you can receive. People who have an MPH after their name have a master's in public health. It is an arm of government. The Florida Department of Health in Tallahassee is the public health arm of Tallahassee. So the subject of public health, perhaps it's something that we need to bring into the curriculum and start teaching at a younger age what it is. Because the idea of prevention is really powerful. Prevention is the most powerful thing, yet the hardest to measure. But all of the measures that have been done for the pandemic were public health measures, but they've been unrecognized, many of them, because we don't know what public health is. I do science for a living. I'm an advocate. I do cancer research and education and advocacy. And I learned more about public health this year also. So public health as a subject of science is something we're thinking about and considering teaching in this educational institution. Thank you for everything you do.
Good evening, Councilman Streets.
It's Johnny. Good evening. Johnny Streets. Madam Chair, Honorable Madam Chair, honorable members of the diocese, board members, honorable superintendent, honorable attorney of record. It's an honor for me to stand before you. I'm not here as an advocate or an activist, but I'm here to support what you all may call your school bus drivers. I call them transportation specialists because it takes special people to do what they do and how they do it. I heard someone say that in essence of bonuses, raises, cost of living, those are in different pots, I know. But I stopped by to tell you that we can move money to support the good people that perform a service for us every day, sick, lame, and sometimes lazy, but they show up because they want to get those kids to school. Children are the rewards of life. And whatever I can do, and every ounce of influence that I have, is to stand with them. You know, someone said that, who can we send for us? Isaiah 6:8 says, here am I, send me, and I will be with them all the way. You all do a good service, but have some empathy and understanding that before there was a pandemic, some communities and people were already in a pandemic. So we have to take that very seriously, show the respect. There's a saying that if you don't have a seat at the table, you're probably on the menu. Have these bus drivers or transportation specialists be at the table. Thank you very much.
No clapping. Good evening, Ms. Johnson.
Good evening. My name is Crystal Johnson. I'm a parent-child advocate here to speak in support of school bus drivers, children, and families. As a mom of 4 whose children relied on public transportation to get to and from school, I have a great appreciation for our bus drivers. Drivers make sure our schools have butts in the seats so children can learn. Without bus drivers, this will not happen. I'm gravely concerned that drivers will leave the district prematurely due to the lack of a living wage, unsafe work conditions, and a hostile work environment. Correct the wrong, do what's right, do better than a 2.5 pay increase. Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Williams.
Good evening. My name is Arlise Williams. I'm current a bus driver of Lee County School District, and I have been with transportation for over 3 decades. I serve as the Vice President of Transportation. Are you aware of the widespread of homelessness and hunger through our district? If we have an employee that makes $20,000 a year, they pay $18,000 a year in rent. That leaves them with only $2,000 a year to live off of. That's impossible. Did you know 20 bus drivers serve with the cafeteria workers during the food program, Grab and Go? The majority of the cafeteria workers came down with COVID and quit. That left the bus operators to help serve the public, and those operators never received the extra pay for serving the public. Bus operators are overworked, as we all know. Operators are doing multiple routes every day. This current situation is impacting the operators and the attendants mentally, socially, and physically. Things that we can do. Transportation is open 20 hours out of 24. Our first person is at work at 4 a.m. in the morning, and our last person can leave and go home at 12 o'clock a.m. Create or build 3 daycare facilities for transportation workers. Pay the 20 drivers that participated in the grab and go. Look into getting some kind of programs in place for rental or mortgage assistance to help the employees of the district. Please, this matter needs to have a urgency put on it. We always are talking and we're always bringing stuff, to the right people, and it's always being ignored. And I can tell you this grab and go issue, I have been talking about it ever since it happened, and we have not gotten an answer yet. So I am asking the school board members to please help the employees in Lee County live and not die. Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Ellis. Oh, I apologize if I called the wrong name.
I'm Marcia Ellis, and tonight I would like to speak in support of advanced placement, ACE, and IB programs in Lee District schools. In this conversation that I'm having, I want to take just a moment to defend some of the great literature that's being taken out of context and presented in these chambers. The work of Toni Morrison has come under fire in this district and nationally. I understand there's some checklists that I haven't seen the criteria about banned books, and I just want to bring that out in the conversation before I get into talking a little bit more about the advanced programs in this district. Advanced placement has its roots in post-World War II, and it began national implementation in 1955 in 11 disciplines. It's administered by the College Board, whose purpose is to expand access to higher education, including underserved and minority communities. Let me repeat that. The purpose of advanced placement is to expand access to higher education. Over 20,000 high schools offer AP courses. 2,900 colleges grant credit for AP exams, and 36 courses are available. In 2019, 1.24 million students took an AP exam. It's estimated that 38% of all U.S. Students took at least one AP exam. Advanced placement, it's a great American achievement. The dual enrollment courses that are available through this district are exempt from payment of registration, tuition, and laboratory fees. Dual enrollment courses have a standard of comparability for their curricula and the training for their educators. The curriculum is designed by college faculty and experienced AP teachers to reflect college-level expectations. College-level expectations. I repeat, these are earning college credits. Through ACE programs, students can earn up to 45 credits. I want to make sure that all of the special populations are supported in their education, including the gifted students, the highly motivated learners, the advanced students, Students in Lee County deserve to have continued access to curricular materials, including literature, by authors like Toni Morrison and Jason Reynolds, who have come under attack. They need access to this curricula to succeed in their coursework and be prepared on a level playing field with the entire country to pass.
Will the following individuals please line up? Heather Boyle, Jerry Ware, Mary Hartley, Robert Davis, Ron Hartley.
Welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tessa Walsh, and I'm here with my husband and children in support of our school bus drivers. We are parents with 3 children in the Lee County School District. Recently moved from New York, and I just want to let everyone here know, especially the drivers, how appreciative we are of these drivers. To have 3 kids in 3 different schools on 3 different buses, it's an undertaking, and I am so happy with the work that these people are doing for our children, with the safety that is placed on them every day, taking our kids back and forth to school. Bus drivers, like police officers, don't take the job for the money. You do it for the love and for dedication. And I appreciate all 3 of our bus drivers, because to serve one family with 3 different buses, it's an amazing thing, and I'm thankful for the Lee County for it. What I'm here for is to treat fair treatment of the bus drivers in regards to their pay. Living wages matters. Please take care of the people that take care of our children. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Navarro.
Good evening, Superintendent and Board. Lou Navarro, retired 38-year Lee County teacher. What's the plan for ZombieCon? Omnicon? No mask mandate, no vaccinations. You had staff and students on your dashboard up to early November, 6,418 cases of COVID, either to students or staff. I did vaccinate. A family member, my son, he said, "Dad, you don't want this. We were all unvaccinated." And he got pretty sick. Still can't smell. Are you and the politicians in Tallahassee and Washington, D.C. going to continue to play politics with children and teachers' lives? I taught many years. Children are a gift from God. I went to the Oversight Committee the other night for the half-a-cent sales tax. I was impressed. The revenue has dramatically increased, and the Budget Committee report said the revenue is jumping in leaps and bounds, but she didn't know why, but I do. Inflation is 6.1%, and this regressive sales tax is raising more money. So it should be shared with the Cape charter schools. And Debbie, you're going to be in trouble with your re-election if you're planning on it. Those people love their charter schools. And we didn't invent them, thank 20 years of Republican governors. Public records, still a big problem, and I'm going to call my board friends here. You know you do talk to me. I can't get records that Melissa Mickey gave me. One in particular is the demographic of all salaries. I've put in requests for other things I'm ignored. The only thing they seem to be able to do is the guest teacher report. It's Christmas. 1 second here. annual presents, and tonight, and I have one too, Robert's Rules for Dummies, and that's for my friend up there, the chair. I got one too, don't take offense. Robert's Rules of Order for Betsy, and the Constitution for our attorney, because I feel she is taking away our First Amendment rights. I do agree. Lastly, if any of you know Spencer Roach, can you get this to
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Navarro. Heather Boyle.
Good evening, Ms. Boyle.
Hi. Heather Boyle. In reference to item I-8 on the agenda, the approval of expenditures for instructional material purchases, I see listed on there is $3.5 million for intervention services, which includes library books, and then another $5.5 million on schools and development for more library books. I know that based on the Parental Bill of Rights, I have all the rights to review any of these materials. However, that's after they are purchased. I looked at your website, and unless I missed it, I don't see any clear processes for the adoption of library books that involve public or stakeholder input. And based on a recent request, a lot of us know the school district isn't that great at picking proper books. So if you don't have any, I'd like to suggest they are created. In reference to the ESSER and American Relief Funds, while it's great that I see you sent an email about a very important meeting where the public comment could be heard, it was today at 1 p.m. when most of your stakeholders are working. Although I do realize the only reason you're asking for public input is because it's required, I urge all community members to listen and attend one of the Zoom meetings and complete the survey. The school district needs to know we are here, paying attention and giving our input. While I'm in full agreement that mental health supports are important and needed, I am against any of these funds being spent on social emotional learning. Schools are for educating students on the core subjects. I don't think teachers should be doing any type of SEL activities with students. Parents, if you are listening, please take some time to research what is really involved so you are aware. It is unacceptable for teachers to be providing some of these mental health resources to students, especially when parents are not involved in the discussion or even aware it is occurring. This opens the opportunity for staff who's not qualified to speak identities over our children, identities that will follow these kids for a very long time, and none of this is okay with me. So here's my constructive suggestion. Since I know you won't reject the money and it has SEL requirements, the county commissioners are also getting relief funds and they want to allocate a portion to youth mental services as well. See about maybe working with them to create a real and legitimate mental health resource that is available for parents to reach out and access. Work with agencies and maybe pastors to create something better outside of the school for our kids. Work with the parents, not against. Please focus these funds on educating our children and taking care of staff.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Mary Hartley. I was going to bring my kids tonight, but they weren't home yet. School gets out at 4. They were picked up by the bus service at 4:40 to be brought home. They're not being brought home until 6 o'clock at night. 40 minutes after school is so ridiculous to be getting on the bus. You want to know where to allocate money within the district? Pay the bus drivers, or should I say transportation specialists. They are the backbone of this district. Without them, you won't have a district. You don't even have a school. And let's see. They're the backbone who get our kids to and from school safely. And I suggest all bus drivers, don't show up to work. Let the district fall until they're able to pay you what you need. Just let them fall, because there will not be any school without the bus drivers. There'll be no kids in the seats without the bus drivers. So please pay the bus drivers well. Get more, hold them, retain them, do whatever you need to do. I was reading something about where all the money needs to be allocated. Allocate it towards the bus drivers, the transportation specialists. Treat them with respect. Give them what they need, because we need bus drivers to get our kids to and from school. Without them, there's no school, there's no district. And by the way, there's like 1,000 people moving to Florida a day. How are you supposed to get kids to school. And as a matter of fact, the chair was complaining about how many kids were coming, because I'm a new parent, I'm a new family here. And she was complaining about it at the school district here to a parent. So pay the backbone of the school district. If not, stay home. Don't show up for work, it'll piss off parents. And then we'll have more parents come to the board meetings, which I really hope they do. Have a good night. And thank you, bus drivers. Thank you for everything you guys do. Get your kids to and from school safely. You guys deserve so much more respect, more pay, to be able to live, to be able
Ma'am,
to...
your time has expired. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Well, that was my wife, so she's mad, and she should be, because she's a citizen. My name is Ron Hartley, and we are fairly new to Cape Coral and Florida. Michael, I mean, we're really blessed to be here and love our community. But first, I do want to say, I want to thank the school board for serving our community. It's not an easy job, and it's sometimes, probably as you know, a very thankless job. But I'm standing in front of you to talk about another job, and perhaps sometimes a thankless one. So I want to talk about the women and men in this audience, and who might not be able to be here, who have been empowered and entrusted to get our kids to school and back home safely. A couple of weeks ago, I picked up my kids early from school because the buses were running an hour late and I needed to get them to sports and all the things that we do as a family after school is over. But when I got to the school, I was shocked. Traffic was backed up, quarter of a mile, half mile. There were hundreds of cars. Teachers were out in the parking lot directing traffic. And my wife told me when I went there that I should show up 40 minutes early just so I can even get in line, right? Well, I was like, come on, seriously. So I left early and she was right. I got there in line, but it was a really long line. Lost my place here. Sorry, I put this speech together when I was sitting in the audience. The transportation system is broken. And it got me really thinking about why. Normally when I see a broken system, it's usually because of three things: people, process, and or resources, or a combination thereof. And I'm saying that because I'm a process optimization specialist, so I'm really good at fixing things and improving things. And this one really got me thinking. So as a retired military leader, I found that process and resource issues can be taken care of by investing in your people and treating your people with dignity and respect, and giving them the tools and technology required to do their job. If you take care of your people, your transportation system and its issues will be fixed. And I'm happy to help if you need help. I'm asking this board, you, and I'm almost out of time, so I'll speed up, to give our transportation specialists dignity and respect. We owe them. Give our bus drivers a meaningful pay raise. Saw online that the starting salary for bus drivers is a little over $16 an hour. I don't know if that's old, new, or what, but that's what I saw. My 16-year-old son has a job opportunity at Publix for $50. I cannot regret this. Please help me understand.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hartley.
Will the following individuals please line up? Roy Peck, Anthony Call, Melissa Hatter, Iris Ramirez, Robert Goldsmith.
Where?
Good evening to the board, superintendent, and the attorney. I am Jerry Ware. I have been advocating for this community.
I'm sorry, Ms. Ware. Can we hold on until everyone is, please either have a seat, or I just don't want to be disrespectful when she's speaking.
May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Good evening, board, superintendent, attorney. To all of you who are in the audience, I am Jerry Ware. I've been advocating for this community well over 50 years. I almost didn't come tonight because I get tired of the board saying, I hear you, but you don't do anything. But I'm one of those people who I know I'm on the menu and I bring my own folding chair to the table, so you don't have to give me a seat at the table. Tonight I am here because you have chosen, and I say to you, the board, you have chosen to follow in the footsteps of the county commissioners by adopting a map that you know clearly is gerrymandering. In 2011, it was determined that it was gerrymandering. It's gerrymandering now. Most of you are college-educated women on that board, and you should know what the FAIR Act says about redistricting. I'm saying this to you. Why did you not allow the resource that you had to draw your own maps? Is it because of your own personal agenda? Because you want to make sure that you might try to get reelected again? Or were you trying to do the right thing? You could be change agents to make sure things are done correctly, just like with these bus drivers. You can make changes all over the place. The mask, all kinds of changes. But redistricting is one that you know will last for 10 years. But I promise you, you're gonna end up in court this time. I am one of those people who are doing everything within my power to bring you to court. Because you know when you voted for that map that it's gerrymandering. You know that you are diluting the vote. And the Madam Chair knows well, because she knows Dunbar, that she represents, is not contiguous with Burnt Store Road. A rubber band would stretch all the way from Martin Luther King all the way to Burnt Store Road would break. So you know it's not contiguous. I ask that you all study what the FAIR Act says about redistricting. It's a little late, day late and a dollar short. I asked you all before to have drawn your own maps, and you all have refused to do so. But this time, you know I'm always here advocating and pulling with you, but not tonight. I am doing everything within my power to help bring you to court.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Robert Davis. I am a bus driver. And first of all, I'd like to honor this day for what happened 80 years ago. The reason I honor that day, because the blood of my blood was there. And as Americans, we should never forget. We were attacked, they thought we were beaten, but they found out all they did was piss us off. Now, back to the bus driver business. I'm concerned with bus driver safety. You guys all know what happened with the Oxford County shooting, right? Well, think about this, and I'm sure there's some military people in here like myself, and also our fine police officers. Does anybody know what a target-rich environment is? Y'all know what it is, right? Well, think about this. They had a shooting in a school. We have 77 passenger buses that often have over 65 kids on them. Think about what would happen there. And the reason I brought that up is we have been told that we cannot check book bags. That alleged student that did the shooting walked in the bathroom, took his weapon out of his book bag, and proceeded to shoot people. Think of an automatic handgun in the back of a school bus with no security, full of kids. Think about what would happen in a target-rich environment. Take the handcuffs off us. Let us look in those bags. I think it's worth our lives and your kids' lives. And thank all my brothers and sisters, attendants and drivers for showing up. Thank you for paying attention. If we keep paying attention, we're going to get something done. Believe me, it will happen. And yeah, that's about all I got to say, because everybody else that didn't tell you about the money will tell you about the money again. You heard it before, you're going to hear it again. Thank you for your time.
Good evening.
Hello, my name is Roy Peck. I've been a bus driver for 18 years in the same compound. In the compound I work in, we have some of the best people that you've ever had. And you know what they're doing? They're running. See you later. They've had enough. They're horribly underpaid. They're horribly overworked, and they're not appreciated, not 1 ounce, and I mean not 1 ounce. The way they're talked to, the way they're treated, it's horrible. Our system that you had in place for this pandemic was absolutely downright pathetic for our bus drivers. Pathetic. I was part of it. I've been there for 18 years, like I said. Downright scary. Because you know why? Nobody really cared, and I mean that from my heart. Nobody cares. And every day, I've been there 18 years, and 3 years, we might have lost 3 drivers here, 4 there. We're losing 50, 60 drivers at a clip. And they're good bus drivers. We've lost a ton of them. This system is completely broke, and I don't think you have any idea how bad it's broke. And this year, it has went completely backwards. Somewhere along the line, we might gain a step here or there. This year, it has went totally backwards, and it's sad. It's really sad. Here's something that I wish somebody up on that board would do. Go sit down in a room over in transportation with the radio to go over our bus. Sit there for 1 week and listen to that radio every day. And you listen to the chaos. Your head will be spinning right off your shoulders, because I don't think you have any idea what goes on over there. In fact, I know you don't, or this wouldn't be going on. You have to do something to fix this. Because, I hate to say this, but over the holidays and probably at the end of the year, you're going to lose another bunch of excellent drivers. They're sick and tired of it. I hear it every day. They're leaving. They're jumping off the ship because they just can't take it anymore. It's ridiculous. And I just hope that you have the insight to please do something about it, because what's going on in the zone I'm in, it doesn't work. It's not working, and it's getting worse by the day. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Hello. Melissa Hatter. Regarding tonight's pulled agenda item to reimburse Ms. Patrico for legal fees, I hope that doesn't show back up, because to vote for in favor of such would be inappropriate. Tax dollars already paid for the board attorney. Then the board voted to hire Attorney Quick. Enough. If Ms. Patrico chose to incur the expense of yet another attorney without board approval or public feedback, then it's inappropriate to come and ask us for it now. Speaking of unapproved spending, I must have missed the meeting when the board voted in favor of what I assume is an additional cost for the increase of security in the searches of body and possessions. Please provide the public with the cost associated with the increase of security measures and the date the meeting the board voted on such expenditures. Before you reply that it was an emergency action taken, allow me to state that it is not feasible, considering I asked your Sergeant of Arms if the measures were taken because of a threat made against Lee County School District or board. He said no. Therefore, there was no emergency to justify circumventing sunshine law. Ms. Jordan, the 2 Lighthouse complaints filed over 7 months ago, and the complaints from October 4th, 5th, the appeal of the investigation by HR and Beyond, which I stated I have documentation to support the many inaccuracies, all which you have acknowledged on October 8th it was, still haven't been addressed. My appeal of the completely falsified audit and 3 falsified investigations from a year ago, which I provided supporting evidence for, have never been addressed also. You tend to completely ignore the evidence. You keep giving bogus reports that I can show you physical documentation proving are not accurate, and then you just ignore it. For example, HR and Beyond investigators stated in her findings that the decision was based partly upon law enforcement determinations. I spoke to the detective investigating the Booster Club, and they said that they absolutely did not speak to her, that I was the only party they could discuss findings with during the active investigation as I filed the complaint. This is just an example of the falsified findings. How did she consider law enforcement determination if none was made because it was still inactive? Please take care of these responsibilities. It's been 2 years and you just continue to allow more falsified reports, findings, and I have the evidence proving otherwise. And I'm not going anywhere until you take care of it. Stop justifying things and do your jobs correctly, ethically, morally, professionally, and legally. Thank you.
Good evening.
My name is Anthony Call. I'm a bus driver at South Compound. You board members don't understand what we go through. I came back. Before COVID, I was going to be made a permanent bus driver. COVID hit. When I called to find out, basically the board, the school board, and everybody told me good luck because I wasn't full-time. While my family was starving and I had to find another job. I had to take a job that ruined my health because of it. I was told I couldn't be in that line, but that's the only line of work that I knew for 27 years as a tow truck operator. I came back this year, thanks to Miss Arlise, Miss Shea, who stood there and said, Anthony, come, drive. I came and I drive. I run ragged, worse than I did driving a tow truck. The reason I do this is for children. My children on my bus, nobody else can handle but me. My children respect me. Their parents respect me. I have an email from a parent who wanted me to tell the board how well I take care of her child. When I noticed that her child wasn't acting the same, I called her. Said, is your son okay? This is what I see. Thankfully, she said, he's on a reward system and he's being behaved on your bus. I said, good, I just wanted to make sure. Last week, my mother was in the hospital with a blood disease. Not knowing whether she was going to live or die, I was driving from West Palm Beach back here every morning to drive these kids to school. 2 days last week, I left early so I could go check on my mother. Thursday, I picked her up. Last Sunday, I took her back to the hospital. Today, I drove to the hospital. Sorry to the bus drivers who had to cover my whole day, but I had to do it. But now I sit here and worry if one of my fellow bus drivers at my school, she calls me in the morning, Anthony, don't worry, your kids made it to school. Anthony, don't worry, they're coming to pick your kids up. I worry more about these kids than my own, that I have to have my father-in-law take to the school bus because I come at 4 o'clock in the morning and my wife, in order to afford to live, has to leave at 4 o'clock in the morning. So please, if you think of nothing else, think that I lay my heart and soul on the line to take kids to the bus stop. I treat them like my own, no better. If they have no money, I'll pull it out of my pocket and give it to them, just like any one of these bus drivers would do. When Lehigh walked out, I didn't see any of you board members but Miss Jordan, who came to the school to thank me and appreciate and ask what the problem was. So please take her advice, see what she does, and come and see what we go through. Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello, Iris Ramirez. Ditto on the Patrika comments and the comments on use of the mental health part of ESSR. The redistricting was not found to be gerrymandering. Ms. Jordan, thank you for your opening acknowledgments to everyone. Normally I have no time to say any thanks. Today I do. The artwork tonight was very nice. I'm just curious that there was not one that related to Christ Mass. Just wondering about that. I expect that some of that ESSR cash is going to the student transportation people for their increased risks and stress during COVID. If that hasn't been discussed, maybe it should be. Seems like justified use of that money for sure. And then on to what I usually talk about. Does this school board want to celebrate alternative sexual practices for a month or even a minute? Is this district promoting pedophilia like what was read from a school library book in a recent board meeting? Everything must go through the lens of how does this benefit the minor students entrusted to our care. Promoting sex to children is not what we pay our taxes for. It's not the expectation that parents have when they send their children to school. Are you here in Lee County exposing minors to non-biological sexual practices like condoms on bananas? This can actually confuse and even frighten children who, unless they have been abused, are properly clueless on such matters. It does not promote better graduation rates or literacy, so why are we wasting time and resources instead of focusing on improving education? Me having to come here to speak on this is a waste of time. The angst this causes in the community is a waste of time and energy. Please do the things that benefit the students and nothing else. And yes, parents, there is porn in the schools today. I don't know about our school district, but wow, I have in my hands looked at some of the books and I actually had to put them down. It's like, what are we going to be teaching the Kama Sutra next? School is not the forum for learning about how to have a good time in the bed. Thank you very much. Power to the parents.
Good evening.
Good evening, Robert Goldsmith. I'm here on behalf of the bus drivers because I don't know how they wake up every morning and say, wow, I want to earn this pay and get up and go do their job. You got to believe that they want to do it because they actually go out there and they care about these kids. And I got 2 kids sitting right here, and one, being a single father, is very difficult. And our bus driver has got to be the most amazing woman. And she has no idea that I'm a single father. And my son comes home every day very proud of her bus driver because she has helped him in numerous ways. So when people say they just go out there and drive these kids to school, there's so much more to what the bus driver is. And they're very special to these kids, and they teach them a lot, and they actually communicate with these kids while they're on the bus. So how they get up every day and say, wow, I'm making this pay, and nobody can see that they don't make any more, and they can flip burgers for 15 bucks an hour, or they're not even educated people out there that they're gonna teach kids while they're doing that. I'm proud of every one of them. My son's very proud of him. He speaks of his bus driver every night and says, this is what my bus driver told me to do, and Daddy, I'm gonna do it. So please help these bus drivers, or you're gonna lose a lot of them, and it's gonna be pretty sad, and especially the bus driver that we have, because my son is very proud of that lady. That's it. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes public comments.
Thank you. I know that sometimes it seems like it's just words, but I truly do appreciate each and every one of you who, transportation specialists. A lot of you drive my grandchildren, my nieces, my nephew, and they come home and they tell the story as well. They appreciate all of you. They tell me when they're, what you share with them, and they love being with that same person. So I thank you so much.
Dr. Savage, I don't know if you, I know that we're still in negotiations, but can you speak regarding the grab and go? When they spoke about that, I really appreciate them bringing those items back to us. Can you speak on that, or is that something that in negotiations?
Yeah, obviously nothing about anything that's bargained. I can't speak to anything that's currently bargaining. Just for those bus drivers, just before I share the message that was relayed to me about the grab and go sites, just, you know, again, we really appreciate our bus drivers. It's the bargaining process is a long process, but understand that our priority is to ensure that our staff are properly recognized, not just in all the financial compensation ways. That's very important to us. And we believe it's very important to the union as well. It's a complex process. We have lots of different fund sources. It's been talked about with the ESSER funds. Those are the non-recurring funds, but also the recurring funds. I just encourage you, if you haven't been paying attention to the bargaining process, to really listen in on that, listen to what's being discussed, give as much feedback as you can through your representatives who are collectively bargaining. You have a SPALC president who is a bus driver, so I just encourage you to make your voice heard through that side as well, just so that you're aware of what are the different issues relative to the entire labor bargaining group. As far as the working conditions are concerned, we recognize it's been a pretty horrific time out there, not just for bus drivers, but really for so many different employee groups, and so that's something that we have to continue to work on. Just your presence here today, we're very well aware of that. Just the fact that you choose, after a very long day, getting up extremely early and having all of the long hours and then coming here to make your presence known, we really appreciate that. We can't bargain with you directly here in this moment. That's not how it works. But just the fact that you're here definitely sends a message. So we just really appreciate that. So thank you for speaking, from your heart about what you've gone through and just what your needs are. We really appreciate hearing that message. As far as the grab and go sites, the information that was relayed was the payment of the drivers to serve the grab and go sites. They're working through the details, and so they are actually addressing that particular piece. They're working with SPALC on that issue in terms of the grab and go sites. So they're working on that. That is something that they are aware of.
Thank you. And I do intend on coming to some of those at 4 a.m. I'm up, so I can certainly come there and be a part of that as well. Also, I wanted to, I know there was a comment about the ESSER funds, which I think we heard this afternoon. The ESSER funds 3 is what we are going to be bringing out to the public. That has not taken place yet.
One thing I can speak to is something that's already made it through is the $1,000 relief payments and so forth. Some of those are initial pieces. Those are examples of things that are funded through the emergency funds. They're just one piece of the initial funds, something that's already been secured and is already being paid out. Those are the types of things that are available within that type of non-recurring piece as well. So there's lots of different mechanisms that it can go through, whether it's bonuses, it can be incremental bonuses. There's just so many different ways that things can go. So it's just really important that I can't get into any of the specifics of any of that. That's what the bargaining process is for. It's to highlight those, to see what is the most desirable way for the employee groups to get what they're looking for. So I just encourage you to work through your representation in that bargaining process to ensure that your interests are properly illuminated. And thank you for that.
I'm sorry, Dr. Savage, I was speaking about when they were, our briefing today, we had the ESSER funds with Ms. Kennedy, where she was saying that it was going out to the public. So that has not happened yet.
Right.
Okay, that's what I wanted to.
It's available now. There is public input. There's a number of sessions. That is another opportunity. I think you're talking about providing more input.
Correct.
So there, through our website, if you go to our website, it's the very first banner page. It gives you an opportunity to provide some insight into how you'd like those funds to be expended. The example of how some of that was one of the ones I shared with you, just in terms of those $1,000 relief payments, disaster relief payments. That's just an example among many others.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And again, we appreciate each and every one of you coming here and sharing with us. At this time, the next item on the agenda is under consent items. The documentation for action items listed under consent is made available to board members 7 business days prior to board meetings. We are expected to review all the materials, and we have an opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding the recommendations. Some of these items have also been briefed or workshopped with the board in advance of appearing on the action agenda. Board members, are there any agenda items you wish to pull for discussion under unfinished business tabled items portion of this agenda? Ms. Giovanelli, are you with us?
I am, but I believe my 2 items were pulled. 7 and 9 were already pulled by the superintendent, so thank you.
Okay.
Can you confirm that for me?
Yes, that is correct. So you have no pulls?
I have none.
Thank you. Ms. Patrica is not here. Ms. Fisher?
I have no polls this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Gittens?
I have no polls, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vaughn?
I have none.
Ms. Morgan?
I have 2, J4 and J5.
Okay, and I have none. Is there a motion to approve the agenda consent action items with the exception of pulled items J4 and J5?
I'll move that we approve the agenda with the exception of J4 and J5.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Okay, and please record your vote. Ms. Roman, is Ms. Giovanelli voting through that? Okay, just making sure.
Six zero, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. 6-0, motion carries. Dr. Savage will please introduce any, before we go, please introduce any administrators in attendance with a new assignment that we were approved under the consent agenda.
Yes, Madam Chair, it would be my pleasure. First, I'd like to recognize Sherry Abrams from Riverdale High School as Dean to now Assistant Principal. Please rise. I'd also like to recognize Paul Milford from Student Welfare and Attendance, from a school social worker to Coordinator Social Work Services. I also have Mr. Michael Gatewood, who is coming from Financial Accounting and Property Records as the Director of Financial Services to Internal Audit, Director of Internal Auditing. Those are the administrative
Great,
appointments.
thank you, and congratulations to you all. Appreciate it. And again, you are welcome to stay with us, or it's up to you. It's okay. We have J4 to address. Dr. Savage, please read your recommendation for the pulled item J4.
Yes, Madam Chair. This is J4 is the approval of the employment contract with Assistant School Board Attorney Ryan Hudak at an annual cost. That is the first item.
Thank you. There is a motion to adopt Dr. Savage's, is there a motion to adopt Dr. Savage's recommendation?
I move we adopt Dr. Savage's motion.
Thank you, Ms. Kittens, and may I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Okay. The item has been moved by Ms. Gittens and seconded by Ms. Fisher. Is there discussion? Ms. Morgan?
Yes, I pulled these items. I realize I am obligated to vote in support of the appointments, but I want to take this opportunity to describe my concerns about the process and how we operate. In the Board Attorney Office, with the 3 people that will comprise the Board Attorney Office, we have 25 years of legal experience, 6 years of education law experience with this team. The staff lawyer represents 16 hours of legal experience, 10 hours of which are educational law or educational experience. how did we get here? We discussed creating a board, we discussed creating a legal department in 2018. We've had some problems with the outcome of our decision, but here we are in 2021. We had a board-approved org chart, board-approved job description, board-approved budget, and candidates were brought to us, and in our conversation yesterday in the briefing meeting, or the workshop, it was clear to me that despite the fact that we are obligated statutorily to support these recommendations, there is concern about where we are. Selection process. How did we get? I don't understand. I guess what I want to say is I realized yesterday for the first time that the vision of the legal department, as stated by the board attorney, is to create an educational team with inexperienced practitioners from the ground up. That OJT, on-the-job training, would be the means by which we would create a high-performing legal department for the district. Frankly, this process and the outcome has not met my expectations for how our board should be operating and making decisions. It is my belief, and I would have preferred not to have discussed this at the meeting this evening. I would have preferred, had the recommendations been withdrawn, an opportunity given to the board to discuss further what we are doing. But that opportunity has been denied me, so I am taking this opportunity to express my great concern about how we operate and how we make decisions about leadership in our district. I believe we should have very high expectations. I believe we should have individuals in the legal department who, well, I guess what I want to say is throughout the district and throughout the county, I think people expect us to put in positions, and I understand we're going to have people who are inexperienced. We're going to have an inexperienced AP in a high school with experienced principals and experienced APs. We're going to have an inexperienced principal in a high school with experienced APs. We're going to have a mix of experienced and inexperienced people in the classroom. The fact of the matter is, though, we're talking about a professional discipline that has in Florida certification, and we are, in my humble opinion, setting the bar extremely low by attempting to build a highly qualified legal department on the basis of someone with, for example, one of the people we will be approving this evening, 9 years experience as an attorney, never been involved with an institutional educational institution. The second comment I want to make is that we have in the staff lawyer has worked for 16 years as a lawyer. She has 10 years of educational experience. Her salary is $123,400. On this agenda, and this is not for this particular item, I'm going to cover both items at the same time. I'm not going to talk about both of them bringing up the same argument twice. The J5 appointee with 9 years since graduating from law school, 0 experience in an educational institution, will be making $128,000. So we are compensating someone with no institutional experience, or I should say expertise, educational expertise. Certainly they have legal experience. How are inequitable contracts being negotiated? Where is the oversight? So, as I'm telling the public, by law, I must support these recommendations that are being brought forward by the superintendent. But I am extremely disappointed in the process that has taken place and the outcome, and I regret that we have chosen not to go back and reconsider what we really need to be a high-performing, high-achieving school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Ms. Gittens?
Basically, I say kudos to Ms. Morgan. I honestly, I realize the caveat was in moral turpitude and qualifications are the only two statutorily or policy reasons that we cannot accept. You said it all in your presentation of this. We are, in one sense, going backwards as far as our expertise and building up that expertise. And I do understand that, you know, for one, the first one, Mr. Hudak, has been in the system, and he has been working, and I understand that, you know, he would be the one I wouldn't worry about as much, but I still believe exactly what you said. We've got to get some bench strength in education. Our job as oversight and as a board and as a governance team is not getting easier. There are more difficult things coming up each and every day that we have to deal with. So we have to vote for it, but I agree, and I kudos to what was stated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gittens. Are there any other comments?
I would
Yes,
just,
I would like to make a comment.
Go ahead, Ms. Giovanelli.
I actually want to give Ms. Morgan credit, and thank you, Ms. Morgan, for your insight and on this. And I actually would agree with you as well. And unfortunately, I had brought this up in our, to have a better discussion, but today it didn't seem like anybody wanted to have that real discussion regarding our legal department. But I don't think that we do have a good handle on this, and that's how it got on our parking lot list for discussion. So I know that we're not supposed to, we can't support something based on some issues, but I really question what are we doing as a board, making decisions that are not really a good follow through and a good plan, and I think it makes us very reckless. Thank you.
Ms. Fisher?
yeah, and I just wanted to thank my colleagues for the comments, and I am encouraging the superintendent and staff to take a look at some of these processes and bring us some answers to the questions that were posed this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vaughn? And I would just like to thank all of you as well. I have to totally agree with you in the comments that you made. And of course, this is something that we have to vote on. So we will have to move forward with diligence. And with that, I will go ahead and call for the no further discussion. I will ask for a hand vote. I will go down the Ms. Morgan.
Aye.
Ms. Vaughn?
Aye. Aye.
Ms. Gittens?
Aye.
That's not a hand vote. Ms. Giovanelli?
Aye.
Ms. Fisher?
Aye.
And aye. So 6-0, motion carries. And Dr. Savage, please present your recommendation this evening for hearing item J5.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is recommended the approval of the employment contract with Assistant School Board Attorney Shayna Zupke.
Thank you. And I will ask, is there a motion to adopt Dr. Savage's recommendation?
I'll move that we adopt Dr. Savage's recommendation for J5.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Okay, the item has been moved by Ms. Fisher and seconded by Ms. Vaughn. Is there any discussion, which I believe we just had? Is there any further discussion? Ms. Giovanelli? Did you have any?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other discussion, please record your vote, but we're going to do another hand vote again. So Ms. Morgan?
Aye.
Ms. Vaughn?
Aye.
Ms. Gittens?
Aye.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Aye.
Thank you. And Ms. Fisher?
Aye.
And aye, so 6-0, motion carries. Okay.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
believe Shayna Zupke is in attendance. I'd like to recognize with the carrying of that contract.
Sorry, say again, please?
I believe Ms. Shayna Zupke, the new attorney, is in attendance, and so customarily, when we recognize that contract, they are acknowledged, as they are with the other administrators.
Oh, we did not realize that, so I apologize.
Quite all right. It just brought to my attention as well. So is Shayna Zupke in attendance? Shayna, welcome to the School District of Lee County. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Savage, for bringing that to our attention. We will now recess the regular school board meeting and open the public hearing. As indicated, the public hearing this evening is to consider, just stick with me for a few minutes here, approval to adopt the resolution modifying the boundaries of the board member residence areas of the School Board of Lee County, Florida, which are nearly as practicable equal in population. 2, approval to revise the plan for student enrollment 2022 to 2023 in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be December 8th, 2021. 3, approval to revise policy 4.35, Head Start eligibility, recruitment, selection, and enrollment in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt the best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be December 8th, 2021. Number 4, approval to adopt policy 6.072, small business enterprise, in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be December 8th, 2021. At this time, the public will be invited to speak on these 4 items. Only these 4 items. The time allowed for comments is 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to address the board regarding these items? If so, please go to the podium. If anybody would.
Can we put them up, please?
Is there anyone that would like to address the 4 items?
Madam Chair, I think, can we at least for a second put up on the board the 4 items that
We're having problems with board docs. Ms. Schaefer?
Well, perhaps we should read them again.
I will reread them again, slower. Okay. 1, approval to adopt the resolution modifying the boundaries of the board members' residence areas of the School Board of Lee County, Florida, which are nearly as practical equal in population. 2, approval to revise the plan for student enrollment 2022 to 2023 in compliance with changes in related rules, regulation, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of the adoption shall be December 8th, 2021. 3, approval to revise policy 4.35, Head Start eligibility, recruitment, selection, and enrollment in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this shall be December 8th, 2021. Number 4, approval to adopt policy 6.072, small business enterprises, in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices, and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be December 8th, 2021. At this time, the public will be invited to speak on these 4 items. The time will be 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to address the board? Please go to the podium. Thank you. I hope I said that slow enough.
Thank you. I was having trouble pulling up board docs as well, and so I wasn't able to go back and double check on them. I only had a comment on the first one, which was dealing with the redistricting maps, and I looked at that, and I just wanted to double check and confirm that that's the same map that was approved by the Board of County Commissioners, if I'm not mistaken. And I sat through that Board of County Commissioners meetings, actually the few that they had, plus some other discussions that they had on the redistricting component. And I felt that that particular map was the one that actually created the most similar footprint, for lack of a better description, to the map that was in existence already at the time. And there were questions that were raised at the Board of County Commissioners regarding the potential of the map that is currently in existence, not the one that's being voted on tonight, as to whether or not there was any gerrymandering in that. And Cecil Pendergrass specifically indicated that he had correspondence from 2011 from the NAACP, which specifically endorsed that specific map, which at the time was proposal map number 9. So I know that there was some contention that was raised at the Board of County Commissioner meeting earlier in December, or excuse me, November, and also this evening about potential gerrymandering. But I do also recall, if I'm not mistaken, that the county commissioner attorney specifically said that he would have no difficulty whatsoever in defending any of the maps that had been proposed to the Board of County Commissioners, with the exception of map number 6C and 7. And so the map that is on the table tonight falls within the group of maps that were identified as defensible against any constitutional claims of being gerrymandering or discriminatory in any nature. So I encourage you guys to go forward with that map, and it also keeps me in the district that I'm currently in. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? And that's on the 4 items, please.
Right, Mr. Ramirez, I was at that meeting as well. It was very fascinating, all the discussions, and that's exactly what I also heard at that meeting, and the one that the commissioners voted on seemed to be the most rational one and least disruptive for the county of Lee. Thanks.
Thank you. Last call. Anyone else, please? Is there anyone else? Seeing none, we will go ahead and continue. Dr. Savage, please restate your recommendations for this evening's public hearings. If we can go one at a time, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair. Recommendation P1, approval to adopt the resolution modifying the boundaries of the board member residence areas of the School Board of Lee County, Florida.
Thank you. You have heard the superintendent's recommendation that the board approve to adopt a resolution modify the boundaries of the board members' residence area in the School Board of Lee County, Florida, which are nearly as practical equal in population. Board members, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to adopt the resolution modifying the boundaries of the board member residence areas of the School Board of Lee County, Florida.
Thank you. Ms. Fisher, may I have a second?
I'll second. Morgan.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Any discussion? Ms. Giovanelli?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no discussion, please record your vote. And it should come up on our screen.
It does.
Okay. And Ms. Romick, if you could please tell me, because I don't see that.
Five one, Madam Chair.
5-1. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Dr. Savage, next
Yes.
one, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. Item P2, approval to revise the plan for student enrollment 2022-2023 in compliance with the changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be December 8th, 2021.
Thank you. You have heard the superintendent's recommendation that the board approve to revise the plan for student enrollment 2022 through 2023 in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be December 8th, 2021. Board members, is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve the revision to the plan for student enrollment 2022 to 2023.
Thank you. May I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Is there any discussion? Ms. Gittens?
Can I, through the chair, ask the superintendent to discuss page 24? Excuse me, item number 2, achievement level. I just want to make sure that I understand. It says the district's target is for each school to have no more than 20% variance in average of students scoring in level 1. That is not the case right now. So can we just discuss that for a moment? I know it's saying the variance and is this what we're aiming for? And we're trying to get there? Can you talk to that in just a second?
Yeah, Ms. Giddens, that's an excellent question. And really, this has been a huge part of the reason behind the proximity plan. One of the major issues that we've had with the proximity plan is not just the boundaries, but the nature of how our current lottery system produces tremendous inequity in our schools. When the plan was originally developed and these original targets were derived, this is what would be an ideal distribution of student achievement throughout the zones and subzones. But unfortunately, what we found is that the lottery mechanism does not in any way produce this, because the lottery mechanism has no method to actually account for this. It's largely based on where students live. So if they live closer to a school, they have a higher possibility of getting into the school, or if they have siblings. There is no mechanism to ensure that these numbers remain anything other than simply targets. But if there is no mechanism to achieve those targets, it's essentially having a goal, but no ability, no strategy to realize that goal. Hence the reason of trying to move towards a proximity plan. The proximity plan seeks to not only change the physical boundaries, but to also change the lottery mechanisms so that we can actually achieve this type of equity in our schools, among others.
It would be very interesting to me, I don't know if to anyone else, but to actually put an additional column that states where we are today. Because I am willing to say that it's very, very off. And since we've been talking about proximity since its first inception, there are times that people interchange neighborhood schools and proximity. And neighborhood schools is not going to give us this type of data that we're looking for, because it's just going to keep demographics with demographics. And I think that's part of the problem from what I hear in the community as well. With proximity, how is proximity going to create this equal distribution of level 1s and 2s when it is so unequal at this point.
That's right. Well, I would be remiss if I tried to encapsulate everything that's in the presentation. Actually, the presentation that was originally scheduled for our briefing earlier today, but has moved to January, addresses this very fact. In fact, we already have a whole PowerPoint that shows exactly how our schools are performing relative to these targets, not just now, but over the last 20 years. So it tells a really compelling story. It really paints a picture for everyone of how the lottery process works. There's just a lot to it, so I can't possibly, in the time that was presented for that, give you all of that information, but that is a huge part of what the proximity effort is about, is changing so that the lottery system actually has these mechanisms. There's many other districts throughout the country that have attempted to try to utilize that lottery system to really reinforce a positive equity in the schools. And I think that's something that we look forward to presenting in greater detail as we move forward. I can say that in this current plan, as it stands, that's one of the reasons why we've moved in that effort, because that mechanism does not exist in this current plan.
And I would really like to suggest, I don't know if it's possible for me to see, I know at the principals meeting there was a presentation that talked about these levels as well, and I have requested that a couple of times, so I would appreciate receiving that document, that PowerPoint, because it does address this. And I just, as I said earlier today, we have to make sure we present the communication to the public in a way that they understand what a monumental task this is to straighten this out, because right now it is very lopsided.
Absolutely.
Thank you
for raising the issue, Ms. Giddens.
Thank you. And is there any other discussion on this? Because I know we have had information on this before, so I didn't know if anybody else. Ms. Giovanelli, do you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other discussions, please record your vote.
Motion passes 6-0, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'm sorry, 6-0? Okay.
Yes.
And if I may take a brief second, because our guest has to leave. She's in middle school, and she has to leave this evening, but I just wanted to thank you. And do you have any comments that you would like to make before you leave?
Yeah.
Okay, please. And thank you for allowing me to do this. Use your mic, honey, and go ahead and speak.
Challenger Middle School, my school, we appreciate the bus drivers a lot. Today, at our school, we passed out different drinks and different snacks to bus drivers to show our appreciation. So I wanted to address that to show that and also us as students, I'm a student, we really appreciate them and all that they do. So I wanted to bring that up because I think that everybody, regarding school, does appreciate the bus drivers, and yeah, we really love them.
That's it? Okay, well, thank you so much, honey. I'm going to just walk you right over here, okay?
That's cute. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to have her for a while. Okay. And thank you for allowing me to cut into that middle of that. Dr. Savage, please, item 3.
Yes, Madam Chair. P3, approval to revise policy 4.35, Head Start eligibility recruitment selection and enrollment in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be December 8th, 2021.
Thank you. You have heard the superintendent's recommendation that the board approves to revise policy 4.35 Head Start eligibility requirement, selection and enrollment in compliance with changes in related rules, regulation, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be December 8th, 2021. Board members, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve to revise policy 4.35, Head Start eligibility, recruitment, selection, and enrollment.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. May I have a second?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
Ms. Morgan? Okay, thank you so much. Any discussion? Ms. Giovanelli? Ms. Giovanelli, any discussion? Okay, I just want to make sure you know I'm not forgetting you. Anyone else? No discussion. Okay, so please record your vote.
Six zero.
Thank you, Ms. Roman. Dr. Savage.
Yes, Madam Chair. Item P4, the approval to adopt policy 6.072, the small business enterprises in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be December 8th, 2021.
Thank you. You have heard the superintendent's recommendation that the board approves to adopt policy 6.072, small business enterprise in compliance with changes in related rules, regulation, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency, accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be December 8th, 2021. Board members, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move. We approve the adoption of policy 6.072, small business enterprises.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan, and thank you, Ms. Gittens. Is there discussion? Ms. Giovanelli?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fisher?
Yes, I just wanted to thank Attorney Bruno and our legal department and staff for the work that was done in creating this policy.
Mr. Prebriano?
I will just add that it's really Ms. Desmore and Ms. Susan Millay and their team that really were very dedicated to bringing this forward. So the little insight I gave was nothing compared to the monumental task that they did to bring this forward.
I wanted to thank them. It's well written. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing that, Mr. Prebriano. And Ms. Gittens?
I just want to say thank you for everyone that worked on it. I think it's been a while coming. We've talked about this for some time, about making sure that we take care of our small businesses, and I am glad that we've taken this step. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please record your vote.
How do you vote, Ms. Fisher?
Ms. Fisher?
I can.
Motion carries 6-0, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. 6-0, motion carries. Next on the agenda is our board members' comments, and I will start off with Ms. Fisher.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So I want to thank the Cape Coral Group for coming and entertaining us before the meeting. A special shout out to Aubrey Duncan, our student representative, who left us, but she is an example of the kids that we have an opportunity to meet with and listen to and learn a lot from monthly. I did a couple of school visits to two of our special centers, the Royal Palm Center and also the Success Academy and Preventions Academy, and I just want to compliment them on meeting the challenges, with very limited resources and really having some success stories there. I also visited Calusa Middle School and attended some data chats, and I was extremely impressed with the way the staff and the kids were able to communicate and plan for the next semester and look forward to what the kids are doing right and how they will be successful if they make certain changes. So that was really inspiring to me. This morning, I, like Ms. Jordan, had an opportunity to go to FSW and participate for a while in the Lead Like a Girl conference, and it's sponsored by Florida Southwestern State College and the Foundation for Lee County Schools. I want to thank the foundation for all of the programs that they extend to our kids, to the panelists who participated this morning, and as Ms. Jordan said, it's about leadership, education, advocacy, and development, and it was also a very inspiring piece. Friday night at Barbara B. Mann, our North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts will be presenting the Nutcracker. It's incredible. They have hundreds of kids participate. They actually make their own costumes as well as do all of the choreography. So it's worth seeing, and tickets are available at the box office. And we had in our back room, we had the word pause on the whiteboard. So I just wanted to say about pause. Practice the pause. When in doubt, pause. When angry, pause. When tired, pause. And when stressed, pause. And finally, I just want to say how fortunate and blessed we are with qualified, caring, and dedicated employees, just like the bus drivers, and our educators, our leaders, and our awesome students and parents and community members who support us. My wish for all is that this holiday season fill your hearts and your homes with love, peace, and joy. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for the public service announcement for the Nutcracker. That was great. Thank you for that. Ms. Giovanelli.
Thank you. I'll be short and sweet. I'm going to ask you, Ms. Fisher, when you're sick, also pause. So, I apologize for being ill. I want to wish everybody a happy, healthy Christmas holidays and New Year's, and I'll see everyone in the new year. And thank you to all the staff and employees. I wish them a prosperous new year, and I look forward to 2022. Thank you.
I feel better. Ms. Matrika is not here. Ms. Gittens.
Okay, I do have a couple of things. Sorry, it's the end of the year, and I got to clean it all up, right? So the first thing is on item J3, and I wanted to ask the superintendent this. I know it was passed this evening. The specific item on the principal coaches, I sent everyone a copy of a video that was done on CBS News this week by one of an administrator or principal of a school, and I forget which city it was in, but I will put it on my Facebook page or whatever so people can see it. It was very, very telling of what is happening with our administrators in our schools. And this one principal was talking about how, she covers classes. She another one was cleaning the floors, and because they didn't have enough maintenance people, and one was directing traffic and being a crossing guard. And I just want to say, everybody that is within the confines of any of our schools, our hats and hearts go out to you, because if you are anywhere near working with any of our children, you are doing 3 or 4 or 5, 6 different jobs, and we understand that. And my question about this is how soon, this was just to pass the job description, and I want to ask the superintendent, how soon are we talking about moving forward with this?
Well, the first step was just to have the job description approved. Once that has happened, the very next phase will be to get these advertised. Once we have exactly the amount of units that we put forward, which I believe are 3 units budgeted, and then once we advertise them and try to get the best possible people for these roles, then we'll be using them to support our schools. So I would imagine that whole process will probably take within a month to 2 months to get that done.
Okay, and I would like to go on record asking, as I have spoken before and asked you about, that we focus, even for the first month, on the Tier 3 schools. They are hemorrhaging at this point. And I have said before, and I continue to say, I am very, very, very concerned as to how our staffing is going to look after the end of December. I have never seen the drop-off in staff happen before Thanksgiving, and I've been around this district a while. And normally it's after the Christmas break, people decide they're not coming back, but the numbers that we have seen before Thanksgiving, it's alarming. Mm-hmm. So any help that we can get to the schools is yesterday, and especially Tier 3 schools. And I think it will help not only just the academics, the behavior, the attendance, all of that wrapped up together is what's going to help our children. And we all have to remember the ESSER funds are to help the students that were affected because of this pandemic. The next thing I want to mention is I would like to make a motion, and I move that we have quarterly town halls, and that we, and I discussed that earlier today, and I'll do it in the discussion part of it. But the motion is, I move that we have quarterly town halls, and that we instruct the superintendent to work on the logistics and provide a report at the next board meeting. And well, go ahead, and then I will finish my comments, Madam Chair.
There is a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Excuse me, Madam Chair, can you please repeat the motion so that everybody knows?
Okay, the motion is to have quarterly town hall meetings.
And instruct the superintendent to work on the logistics, provide a report at the next board meeting as to how we can make this happen.
Do you have that written down?
I have it written down.
To
I can send it to you.
Send to Ms. Roman?
Yes, I will.
Quarterly town hall meetings, and instruct the superintendent
to work on the logistics and provide a report at the next board meeting.
Sorry, I'm trying to write this.
I will send it to you. I have it written.
Do we have a second on this motion?
I'll second for discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you. So seconded by Ms. Fisher. Okay, now discussion.
And basically, may I go?
Yes, please.
Okay. And basically, we've talked about this and kicked the can around many times before. And the suggestion is that we have a roving, so to speak, town hall that rotates from one part of the county to another, and next time in another part, so that a couple of things can happen from that. It would help all of us to hear and see the constituents in the different areas and what their concerns and thoughts and likes and dislikes are, and help each of us to understand what's happening across the district. And also, it would allow the public another opportunity to hear us, talk with us, speak with us, and, we are your elected officials, and we need to hear, other than this formal situation, an opportunity to talk with us. So that is my thought about it.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yeah, it's a great idea to have the town halls. However, I cannot support this tonight because I feel that although we've touched on this topic, we really haven't looked at the pros and cons to say, oh, let's do it quarterly and different. That's too loosey-goosey for me. I understand that Ms. Gittens said, well, let's have the superintendent give us a report. I find that backward. I think that what we should do is examine different avenues for something like this. And the other thing that concerns me is that often, not that we don't love all of you, but often there's like a core of people that show up to these things, and then a few others, and that's not really doing what, don't we have a, what do I want to say? We have an initiative to get more public involvement. And I haven't seen how we are doing that in an innovative way. To me, doing another forum is just another way that we've been doing things all along. And I personally would rather see something more innovative. I would rather see have the superintendent or his people from his staff, especially we have a department that is in charge of an initiative to bring in more public support. And I think we should get something specific from them on ideas. What have they come up with? So I'm not totally rejecting this. I'm just saying that this is premature. For me personally, it's too loosey-goosey. I think it's backward, and I think that we need to ensure that we are coming up with something innovative on how to get to those people that don't show up to our meetings, to other town halls, even to the schools, to the PTOs and that sort of thing. So I cannot support this tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Gittens?
With all respect to your comments, we have talked about this back and forth for a long time. My point in bringing it forward tonight is to get it on the books, to get something started. What you were asking about is what we were, the last part of the superintendent bringing forth logistics and comments from the staff and from whomever as to how we would do it. Everyone on this board has pretty much said, yes, we need to do that. It's one of our strategic plan items to include more of the public. So it is a strategic plan item, and the way it is stated, we will get that input. It's not, my bottom line is if we don't make some statement about it, then we will meet and figure and think and meet, and we'll, at this time next year, we'll be in the same place.
Ms. Morgan?
Yeah, I have a couple of comments. First of all, it is going to be, if it has not been my practice, never to support a motion at a meeting that has not been made previously. So just putting that out there. I understand Ms. Gittens' frustration,
that we talk around this a lot and we don't get anywhere. But I also share Ms. Vaughn's comment that, you know, these tend to be, at least in my area where I tend to see people, there's not a lot of engagement unless you give people something to engage about. And so I think we do need to have something. We think we need to have the engagement staff present something to us. I also am a little concerned about, at this point, asking security and the schools to provide staff support for us to go out and do sort of for 7 board members, and let's say the superintendent perhaps, for the governance team to show up. I think that's a lot of work for staff. So I agree that we need to come up with something, and I believe we need to do more work on it before I'm prepared to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Giovanelli, did you have any comments?
No, I don't. I mean, other than I think it's a great idea. I just like to see the logistics of it a little bit more. I'd like to see a plan and then what would be our goals in accomplishing that. You know, we don't have a lot of, excuse me, community outreach, and we need to do more of it, but I'm not sure exactly the answer, and I would want staff to kind of interject on that as well. Thank you.
Yes, and that was essentially why I seconded for discussion, because I think it's a great idea. In my experience, it is a lot of work for staff, and many times we've had town halls and meetings in different locations, in different zones, but the turnout of the public has been low. And I just think that before we go ahead and direct the superintendent, that we see what is being done by our community outreach people like Ms. Rodden and Mr. Malloy, Dr. Malloy, and also have a topic, you know, that will attract people, and start with the East Zone when we do it.
Thank you. And I do know, I'm looking right at it, that we have the strategic plan for communication and community involvement that we've asked for workshops, which I do believe that this is a good idea too, because I think that we all need to be out there and be engaged. But yeah, Dr. Malloy and Kaylee, they're definitely out there as well. And I think people do need a reason to rally and come together. So we definitely need input from others as well. Ms. Gittens.
I think you all are missing the point. The point was to move on doing something, and to either way you look at it, if you're voting it down, obviously you don't have an appetite to do it, but if you're voting it down, then what happens? Then the superintendent still has to go and get staff input as to whether we should do something and how we do something. I'm just saying we kick the can too often down the road. And either way you look at it, whether we say we're going to do this, let's figure out how to do it. To do this means we need to communicate more than just in this setting, in the community. And I hear you all saying, oh, well, we did this before and it didn't work. And then Ms. Vaughn is saying we need innovative ways. Yes, we do. So why can't we agree that we're going to move forward and look for innovative ways to do this? But thank you for your time anyway, and I'll move on.
Ms. Vaughn.
Well, there is a motion.
There's a motion, and I have to have public comments as well.
And the reason that I'm voting this down is because the motion is very specific. Let's have quarterly meetings. And if that's what, you know, then we're locked in. If we vote yes for quarterly meetings, we're locked in to quarterly meetings because that's what we decided on. Why not start with, if we want to move the ball ahead or whatever, why don't we start instead with board direction to maybe have the superintendent have Dr. Malloy and company to give us ideas they've come up with. And this is on a parking lot.
It is here. We have it here. We've asked them to gather that stuff for us, so we've already asked.
That's one of ours, right?
That is correct.
Not what we looked at, and I'm not
That's correct.
sure why it's different.
For the sake of time, I
excuse
withdraw
me.
it. I withdraw it for now, for the sake of time.
All right.
That's fine.
Okay.
My
So
next.
the motion has
It's
been
withdrawn. Yes. One of the other things I wanted to say to the audience is I was pleasantly surprised as I watched the unfolding of public comment this evening. I often talk about that communication begins with one thing that we can agree on, and as we talk about what we agree on, then we move outwards to things that we may not agree on and find a common ground. I was pleasantly surprised to watch how many people in this entire audience were behind the bus drivers and were behind what they are going through. It gives hope that yes, we are closer on more things than you think we are. Many times people get up and they talk about where, we don't like this, we don't like that. Finding one piece of common ground gives us conversation and brings us together. And if that was what it takes, I thank you all for, and those that are maybe listening from home by now, thank you to the bus drivers for coming out. Thank you for giving us that one nugget of communication that allows everyone in this room that comes in with different thoughts and ideas to find some common ground. So I just wanted to mention that. I don't know when we can bring this up, but I am feeling very stifled as a public official that I can't go down into the audience and talk to people. I know that we have this statement and process and all of that. I personally don't feel I'm taking my life in my hands to go into the audience to talk to someone that I haven't seen or I want to continue a conversation with. And I think, that's between me and my God, my safety and how I feel. And I'm not saying take away all of the procedures or whatever, but I personally do not want to be stifled as a public official not to be able to talk to people in the audience. That's my personal opinion, and I don't know how we can fix it. If people are wanted and everything else, then why can't we speak to the audience? So I don't know where we do that or how we do it, but I really would like to see that changed. I wanted to mention too, I went to an event at Clemente Park this weekend, and it was the CARS, which is celebrating and recognizing student success. And they gave awards and scholarships to students. So I wanted to give a shout out to Kenise Jackson from Dunbar High, Marlena Facey from Carrie Robinson Littleton Elementary, Noah Alice from Ravy Potter, Johnny Colston from Edgewood Elementary, Grace Raphael from Colonial Elementary, and I think Janae Cynthia Walker from Fort Myers Middle Academy. And let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. And that was in conjunction with the Black History Society. And two of our staff, Jared Edie and Crystal Nunez Torres, helped them to put this together. And if you are able to listen to the accolades for some of these students, they're going to be running this world soon, and very, very, very well. So I appreciate Ms. Constance White Davis and Crystal and Jared that helped put that together, and the Black History Society. The final thing that I will say is Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and anybody that I left out, I hope that you all through this holiday have the peace that passes all understanding and enjoy a safe holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gittens. Ms. Vaughn?
Thank you. I think I want to start out with thanking Ms. Marsha Ellis for talking at some length, well, 3 minutes anyway, about advanced coursework in this district. As someone who spent, I'd say at least 20 years teaching advanced high school courses, I really appreciate her bringing it up, because this is, as a matter of fact, I think just yesterday, talking about asking, about gifted education, and we need to remember that although we have students on all different levels, that we have our lowest 25% that we need to give special attention to, and perhaps special programs, and everybody in the middle, and everybody for sports and whatever is important to them and their learning styles. But let's not just kind of sweep away that upper group of students, or actually, it's not always just the upper. I've seen, as a matter of fact, as a personal note, I just had an exchange with a student that I think she was in my class in something like 1999, class of 1999, and she was in, for 2 years, she was in an advanced placement class, and she knew that she was at the bottom. She struggled, but she hung in there, and she went back to school, became a nurse, and has gotten all these accolades. And I just complimented, and I said, "Oh, I'm so happy to hear of any of my students' successes." And then she said one of those things that is priceless to teachers, when she complimented me on the foundation. And so when we look at those courses, gifted kids, yes, in those courses, but we have the kids that are pulling themselves up and that need that that stimulation of higher level courses. And these are college, by the time the kids get to be juniors and seniors, and there's some coursework actually even for sophomores that's college level. It's college level, and so those of you who are concerned about material in our curricula, got to look at the level the class is being taught on. So I thank her for bringing that up, because I think it may be one of the first times I've heard anybody speak on that. Secondly, it was lovely to hear the various people, not just bus drivers themselves, but others in the community coming out to support the bus drivers, especially the parents who spoke to the positive influence that the bus drivers have, because again, they're the first. If the kid rides the bus, it's the first person that the child sees in getting to school, and vice versa. And sometimes just the smiling face of a bus driver might help a child who comes on the bus with a growling, hungry stomach and is headed to school to to get breakfast, and we need to keep that in mind. And December, this time of the year, it is the holiday season, and we've had Hanukkah, and Christmas is coming up, and Kwanzaa, and there's all kinds of religious celebrations, a time for, well, for anybody having work to do in the school system, a time for hopefully a little bit of rest, and food, family, all of these things. However, I want everybody to keep in mind that we have lots of hunger and need in this community. I think most of us on the board, plus other district employees, and I guess the schools have this, the angel trees that it was fun for me to buy toys for a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. My grandchildren are now 15 and almost 18. Enough said. So it was just, I loved it. And so I'm wishing everybody a very, very happy holiday season, however it is you celebrate, and do keep in mind, and it could be maybe one of you are in need right now or have been in need, so that you know what it's like, and just keep that in mind as you celebrate. So happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Morgan? So I want to thank Ms. Gittens for that little nugget about, everybody's here to talk about transportation. It is a 360 view of, and a sympathetic view for the plight of people who are the first person, as Ms. Vaughn said, the kids see when they go to school, and the last person they see when they leave. And I think we're all sympathetic, and so I just appreciate your little perspective on that. And I also want to say how much fun I had with my angels shopping, really. I am going to take a little bit of time because I was at the FSBA Fall Conference, and the stuff that I think you all would appreciate hearing, I'm going to send to you in an email. And I'm sorry that Aubrey Duncan has left, because I wanted to talk about this. They had a student panel at FSBA. They had 4 students, 2 middle schoolers, I think, and 2 high schoolers, and they were asked various questions. And I'm going to share some of the comments that came out. First of all, they, without exception, said they are so grateful for their teachers. They appreciate their commitment to learning, to teaching students, and supporting kids at a especially difficult time. They are supporting a resolution brought forward by a Leon County student to put student representative, write a piece of legislation to require student representatives on school boards. There are only 5 districts in the state that have one. They talked about big strides in inclusion and mental health growth in codes of conduct regarding bullying, disrespect, diversity, inclusion, et cetera. So apparently across the state, and there are initiatives. They talked about lunch, and they made they made a comment, I'd never thought about it. They talked about federal calorie count, and why can't we have extra meals instead of dessert, larger portion sizes instead of dessert. It's too long between lunch and dinner with school and athletic events between. So I just thought, well, that was an interesting observation. They also talked about the 5-hour health and mental health curriculum implementation. And they believe that it should not be one day. I don't know how we're doing it, but their suggestion was it be spread throughout the school year. For example, coping strategies, 1 hour at the beginning of the school year. and then followed by something like how to reach out to a guidance counselor. But essentially they were saying 5 hours, 5 months with a separate strategy for each, because that way you're not overwhelming kids with, you know, a particular topic. They think there should be a required research credit for high school students, how to research a topic, and you're required to do an international, to use international resources to identify points of view so that you are able to articulate a worldly view on a topic. They believe seniors should have an opportunity to learn about filing taxes, writing checks, cooking, college applications. And I think particularly for those kids who are in the second half of their senior year, and you know, what do we do with them to, you know, help launch them. And then the last comment they made, and I don't know to what extent this is happening in our district, but it mattered to them. Administrators breakfast once a month with the student council president and 2 additional students to talk about topics of interest to the student government. And then I am going to make one other comment from FSBA. They had 2 topics for workshops about being student-focused rather than adult-focused, and there was another one, and maybe Debbie can help me out, but it has to do with how you manage your meetings. But anyway, I was particularly interested in this because you all have heard me say that I think we need I call it a liturgical calendar, that we have an obligation to cover topics that we are responsible for as a board on a regular basis and on an understood basis. I now have a new word. It is called cadence. In Duval County.
Say that again. What?
Cadence. Cadence. See?
Oh, cadence.
Yes.
Okay.
So they have five goals for their board meetings to make them student-focused rather than adult-focused. And Ms. Gittens, I'm going to get to you again. First of all, do you have a regular cadence to view student achievement data? Do you view data in subgroups? This is for the board, not staff. This is for the board. Do you identify underperforming schools based on subgroup achievement? Are you conducting equity audits connected to programs at the school level? And do you review or alter policies that hinder subgroup academic achievement? And I plan to follow up with some more information for the board, but I just, as Ms. Gittens knows, as we all know, if you say it over and over and over again, at some point, there's a snag and it catches. And I will close with, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday. It has been a long semester. Every day has been a challenge, and we've heard everybody say, we know how hard you work, we know how many things you're juggling. I hope you find time to rest, embrace your family, friends, have some fun activities, fill your bucket back up, restore your soul. Have a wonderful holiday, everybody. Thank you. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. And thank you for sharing that, what we learned at the FSBA. Also, I want to say, too, that we had our students were there representing Lee County. We had Bonita High School was there sharing their aviation. People were so impressed that they were showing them how to fly these planes. I was getting kind of seasick watching it, even though I was sitting. East Lehigh had their culinary team there. The kids were so professional. They made little tchotchke boxes with all the goodies in there, and they were just, I can't even speak enough about those kids. They were just excellent. We had Dunbar High School was there representing the color guard, and I believe it was North Fort Myers High School who sang virtual the national anthem. Was I corrected? Yes. North Fort Myers? I just want to make sure that I was saying.
Academy of the Arts.
I'm sorry, the Academy of the Arts. Oh, North Fort Myers Academy of the Arts. sang the national anthem. But our children really represented this this county, and I was just so proud of each and every one of them. And I know that we sent pictures, so they'll be on our Facebook. We should have brought them to show everybody because they really shined. Also, there were so many other guest speakers that we listened to, and they were just extraordinary. We learned so many different things from them, which I'll be sharing all that with you as well. I did want to say last night we went to, Dr. Savage was there as well. Our football season is coming to an end. And last night the Rotary South celebrated our all-star football teams with a jersey, and they're receiving their rings. Of course, there's back order, so they were still waiting on those, but they were proud to get their jerseys and their certificate. And their game is tomorrow evening at Fort Myers High School. So it will be the North against the South who will be playing, and they're excited about that. They were having competitions of shoes, who had the best shoe designs. I've never seen shoes with spikes on them, but these kids were dressed to the nines. It was amazing. I don't know how they were even walking in these shoes, but they were very, very impressed. Thank you, Ms. Fisher, for speaking on the Nutcracker. As you said, they do everything. They do the set designs, they make the costumes, they do everything. It's incredible what these schools are doing. And let's see. And I'm just going to read one of the, just a comment that I wrote down because it really resonated with me, and this was by one of the leaders who came and spoke to us at our last day there. And they spoke, the quote was, real leadership is inviting people on a mission to do something extraordinary together, which I think is really important. And this is what our administrators do each and every day. So I really thank our administrators. And know that we are here to support all of you, as well as the rest of the district family, because I consider everybody that works here part of the district family. We all need to take time off to reconnect with our loved ones, and I wish each and every one of you a very happy holiday. And this is our last meeting for the month, so we look forward to having all of you back here in the new year. And with that, I am going to go to Ms. Dupree Bruno. Do you have any comments?
I do. Thank you so very much. The first thing is that we're so fortunate to have all of the pieces now to have a successful legal team. It takes a lot for an attorney to go out there and start something from scratch by building their own business. You wear so many different hats in that process, as a business, as a manager, as a problem solver. You're the human resource officer, you're the technology person, and of course you also have to practice and manage everything. You're doing the profit and loss. So it takes a lot to start from the ground up and build a business. I've done it. I had it for 10 years, and we're very fortunate that we have Ms. Zupke, who also has that experience. In addition, Ms. Zupke worked for the Office of Criminal Conflict and Regional Counsel, which brings with it a vast array of experience. She has a passion for children. Throughout her entire career, like me, we have worked with the children who are most vulnerable in our systems. That's what we dedicated our lives to. So again, we're glad to have Ms. Zupke here, who has that same passion for our children. And again, Mr. Hudak, who has been working in this position that he's been in, just not as an attorney. We're happy that he's finally on board and able to do what he has been doing for the district and contribute in our HR process. A lot of times, if you read articles about individuals who are changing careers and moving into another area, the articles will indicate to you that those people always bring a passion with what they're bringing forth to the new organization, because this is something new, this is something that they want to do. They work hard for the organization because they want to succeed. In addition, because they're new, they bring new things with them. They're open to new things, and they're not afraid to try new approaches. They're not stuck in the rut because they have new ideas and new approaches to problem solve. They bring tremendous value, and they bring an expertise in more areas. They're not stuck in one area. They bring expertise of a myriad of different areas that becomes an asset to the organization that they work with. And these individuals who come, they're lifelong learners. They bring fresh ideas because they want to continue to learn, to grow, and to expand. So I'm extremely happy that we now have all of the pieces of a legal team that will be able to provide proactivity. We'll be able to review our risk assessments from a legal standpoint, reduce litigation, and make sure that this board and this district is represented in the best way possible. That is our goal, and that's what we will do. And we will provide this board with updates on a regular basis so you know exactly what is going on and the value that these individuals who are joining this team bring to this board and to this table. So with that, I really want to congratulate the legal team that we now have all of our pieces: Christine Schroed, Ryan Hudak, Shayna Zupke, Benny Brophy, and Shalonda Wilson, and myself, and we will make this board successful, and we will represent this district with everything that we have. With that, for me, it's Merry Christmas. For some of you, it may be Happy Hanukkah, it may be Joyeux Noel, it could be Happy Kwanzaa, but I really want to wish everybody a happy holiday, and we're looking forward to a great 2022, and I'm still working on that public comment policy, so don't worry, I will protect your constitutional rights to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Pre-Bruno. Dr. Savage.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed all that there, Mr. Bruno. So first off, I have to say what a privilege it was to recognize our student athletes and our coaches at the Rotary South Banquet. If you want to know how to fill up an entire room with standing room only, where there's food and there's festive energy and a lot of positivity, it was about that piece. And just what a great exercise in knowing how the community really gets behind our sports, but also how some of these students balanced it with GPAs over 5.0. I mean, it was amazing to see it, the community come together to support them. The other thing I just have to highlight from the FADS FSBA, it's a joint conference, so it's bringing sides together, both the school boards as well as the district superintendents. And we had all of the big districts represented and all the small rural districts. And one of the best things for me was I had an opportunity to sit down in a very packed room of superintendents. And the one thing that I could say I can come away to share with this board, because it's private, they didn't allow any of the board members in, it was all superintendents. We're not alone. Everything that we are facing, every challenge that we are dealing with, it is the same as all of our other districts out there. Every single person to a person had the same issues in terms of staffing, bus driver shortages, dealing with teacher burnout, how to handle with the pandemic, how to balance the competing issues of the federal government and the state government and trying to balance that with their local constituencies, how to take an involved citizen, a lot more folks participating in boardrooms, a lot more folks showing up at board meetings wanting to have a voice. And so how do you help maximize the energy and the enthusiasm of people who want to make their school districts and communities better, while at the same time honoring the representative democracy that is in place to have elected school boards who truly are supposed to act as that voice to speak for the public. The public doesn't get a direct vote on every issue, and so that balancing act of public access and public input, but also honoring the vestiges of representation in that democratic institution. So those are the same kinds of challenges that they're facing in terms of how they run their school board meetings, how they gain input. It was powerful and it's palpable. How do we embrace a rich environment of literacy, allowing our students to engage in meaningful, in-depth text and complex ideas while not moving over into a concept of censorship? And so it's a real powerful force to have to balance, to protect our children, but also to expose them to those powerful ideas. How to help parents feel like they have a voice, but that it doesn't restrict then access to families who maybe have a different perspective. So it's just a very powerful, palpable moment to be in educational leadership. And it was excellent to be surrounded by such gifted superintendents from all across our state, elected ones, appointed ones, all dealing with the same issues, and how do we learn from each other in that process. Had the benefit of sitting next to Cam Patton, who is the Superintendent of the Year for the state of Florida, in her 11th year in Collier County, who, in spite of the pandemic, saw increased performance in a lot of areas. They have a very diverse community, including the Immokalee area. So just an opportunity to pick the brain of not only Ms. Patton, Dr. Patton, who was gracious enough to allow us to kind of learn from some of her work and her staff, but her entire community came to support when she won that award. So the sheriff was there, the county commission, they had all the folks from Collier County came to support. So it really wasn't just her award, it was the community's award. And so to see that happen in Tampa was an awesome experience as well. Not to mention her board, who were also there, heavily engaged, and how they work as a collaborative team together. It was a real awesome opportunity. Now, the next piece I would just say is just touching on the comment that was made by a couple board members about the strategic engagement. That was a huge part of why we wanted a strategic engagement officer, not for communication, not for us telling our story, not for us putting things out on social media, but how to get input in a meaningful way. Not just some voices, but all of the voices of each stakeholder group, ensuring that what we're getting is truly touching the chord of all the people that we're there to serve and want to have a voice in our work, but don't necessarily want to come to board meetings, don't necessarily want to email. Maybe they don't have an emotional reaction to some of the issues, but they still have a voice they want to give. So how do we engage those people? So one of the things that Ms. Stillwell is doing with her department, she went through a very robust strategic planning activity, trying to gain a lot of these things. She's going to be bringing a much more comprehensive plan. So I want to tap on something that a number of board members said. It's about a comprehensive strategic plan relative to this. Not a single strategy in isolation, but a complement of strategies done thoughtfully so that you're not inundating, you're not over-surveying people, you're not holding a meeting and then wondering why you're there. But the idea of all these pieces thoughtfully constructed and then applied in a planned format that then, as a board, you can react to and say, I think this is really strong here, but maybe we need more here. So allowing the staff to do what they do best, but then allowing your role from a governance standpoint to say, I think you might be missing a portion of that. So I ask that you give us that opportunity to present that when we come back for the new year. That's something that they're already working on, but they just are trying to do it very, very well, and that's work. I don't want to rush them to do it worse. I'd rather have it be excellent, because that was really the huge charge of that role. I want to say to Ms. Upke, welcome to the school district. I'm sure you heard some pretty robust debate, and I can assure you the board members didn't realize you were sitting right there, but I'll tell you this. What you're hearing is passionate people who desperately want this district to be the best it can be. They have high standards for the district and for all of us in leadership, and now you're a member of that leadership team. We're happy to have you. I can assure nothing that was said was personal. No one will hold anything against you. They're all going to be rooting for your success, even if there was that conversation. Every single one of the folks on this team and everyone out in there who's a part of our leadership team, we are now your colleague, and we're excited to have you as a part of this district, and thank you for bringing your passion for children and your legal experience to us. We're excited to work together with you on that. I also just want to say to our transportation specialists, to all of our support staff, to all of our teachers and our administrators, what a first half of the year we have been through, and just a tremendous, tremendous challenge. But now is the time, as we wind down that piece, to recenter ourselves, spend some time with our family, recharge ourselves as we get close to the break. This is our last board meeting of this particular month, and so this is an opportunity for you to get back in charge of all the things that you need to get yourself centered, because we have a whole second half of the year that is going to be waiting for us. And last but not least, to Aubrey Duncan, who left. So Aubrey Duncan is someone that I came to know in a slightly different way, because Aubrey isn't just any middle schooler. She is a middle schooler who took the time, without any reason to do it other than just to show kindness, to leave notes for adults all around her school campus at Challenger. We did a TV video on her earlier in the year, because this is the type of kindness that we see in our children that give us hope for the future of where we're headed. It's the type of thing that me as an adult, it can be very easy to be jaded and to be focused on any of the negative things and all the challenges we're faced with. But when you're sitting in the presence of a student like Aubrey, who for no other reason other than because she wants to lift up other people, hands notes, authentic notes to staff all over the building, just to lift them up, just to brighten their spirits. That's the type of child that's out there. That's the type of person who's setting an example. That's the kind of person who's lifting up people every single day. So to Aubrey, You're probably not watching this. I hope you're getting off to sleep soon, like our bus drivers, because they're getting ready to do work. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for the example you set for all of us, for the example you set for me as a superintendent. You serve people in the middle school. It's my privilege to serve my home community. It's my privilege to serve this board. I hope all of those folks who came and stayed till the bitter end of our meeting, thank you to you showing up as well, and to our staff who've come to all of our meetings for this whole semester. Thank you to all of you. I wish all of you have a happy holiday season, and those are my comments.
Thank you. And with that, our next scheduled meeting of the board is scheduled, let's see, will be January 11th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Thank you so much. Have a great evening and be safe.